Welcome to the Connecting with Coincidence radio show with Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, bringing together the world's synchronicity experts to help you use meaningful coincidences to develop spiritually, psychologically, and practically. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence into your web browser to find the book, website, Psychology Today blog, YouTube channel, and Facebook page. And now, here is the host of the Connecting with Coincidence radio show, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD.
Oh, yes. We are back again, and thank you, Rob. And it is Connecting with Coincidence, and I am your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. Meaningful coincidences challenge established beliefs. They suggest that we can be telepathic, that we can know the future, and have our own human GPS. Coincidences suggest that we are deeply connected to loved ones and to all humans and to all living beings. Studying them uncovers the maps for these currently mysterious connections through our mental atmosphere, the psychosphere. Coincidences open your awareness of your higher self, your intuitive connection to the spiritual. I encourage you to sharpen your sensitivity to coincidences and to examine their potential uses and explanations. Read my book, Connecting with Coincidence, and learn along with me, Synchronicity, spoken here. Our guest today is Nora Ruebrook, who is Chief Equationist at Life's Codes, which is a nonprofit organization. Nora has been in the operations and intelligence fields for over 30 years, specializing in human performance intelligence and predictive intelligence in a real-world environment. Nora provides viable solutions to complex issues in high-paced environments. Her work with Life Codes shows people their patterns in their lives, and she uses synchronicity as part of that pattern recognition. Welcome to the show, Nora.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us what you mean by Life Codes and why some people are aware of them and other people are not.
Okay, we've come sort of to the conclusion that some people get it. We've all had these experiences. We're looking at the same item, we're in the same meeting, but we have different takeaways. And so what allows some people to see certain things and other people not sort of became the question. So we equate it to the Tai Chi symbol as of June of this year is sort of how we're explaining it. So the line that divides that black and the white on the symbol, and then that circle that goes around it, that invisible world, we were trying to figure out how can we capture it, because if you were around intuitives or telepathics or empathics, it's a heavy pull on them if a lot of people ask them questions, okay? So one, it's a drain on them, and why can't the other people see it? And from that, we began to work in the field of quantum intelligence and created an artificial intelligence platform. It's the only known one in the world. That basically, with minimal amount of data, can provide answers to those questions for an individual or a larger group. So it begins to show the patterns, and sometimes when we show that to people, what happens is then they become sort of aware, and that awareness allows them to begin to kind of see what was always there. To tune in, basically.
Pardon?
To tune in.
There's a lot of stuff that is out there that we don't pay attention to. I do psychotherapy with people, and it's the same idea. They can tell me something, and they don't see what they're telling me. And I can point out to them what they're saying about themselves. Sometimes they hear themselves speaking, and it's really themselves trying to talk to themselves, but they don't hear themselves trying to talk to themselves. They're just saying what comes to their minds. So that
Exactly.
This idea of not seeing what's in front of you is also part of the synchronicity awareness that I and you and others are trying to bring to other people. That there's stuff happening out here, ladies and gentlemen. Can we pay attention to it? So what's special and different about the way you bring people's attention to be aware of salient things? I think you're implying that what you're trying to help people do is pay attention to what's most beneficial to them.
Correct. We have the ability to go backwards and forwards and And it's not the human contact that you would have perhaps, in a session.
Right.
We would not need to know the individual's name. We would not need to know a lot of things about them, just, a handful of data, and that is it. And really our goal with that is if we presented someone with a written document, because perhaps they're a linear thinker, or more comfortable with paper in their hand, that would allow them to maybe let go of whatever was blocking them and then go forward. And then recognize synchronicity, coincidences, all these things that are happening around them.
I need a little bit more detail about that. You get some information about somebody from that person or somebody else maybe, and then
Correct.
You're able to take 5 points of information and tell them about themselves, something that's that's useful to them. How do you do that?
Yes. Well, we've got proprietary software. That's the advantage. We've been in the intelligence field for years. And so we've created an algorithm that allows that to happen.
Wow.
So, yes.
Do you have particular questions that you ask?
We do, but we do have a non-disclosure agreement that covers those questions that we ask, but they're not difficult. Anyone can do it probably in less than, 2 minutes.
That is remarkable assertion there. Simple questions, 2 minutes, and you tell them about their life code. So tell us what you mean by life code.
Well, there are patterns that evolve. So an individual may have patterns, but they're also group. Maybe it may be based on that where they information in their life may be similar to other people, perhaps on the planet. Let's just say that, so that it actually all ties together. No two people are the same, but they're pieces of a puzzle that all fit together. So we all know, for example, an individual who is constantly hitting their head against the wall, they have what we call usually bad luck. If we are able to run a report for them, then basically, if, again, they still have to be open to it, they may have the ability to say, oh my, and then if they're ready and ask us the right question is what maybe could we do, we'll be able just to give another report. So the implications for this are wide in the artificial intelligence world, in everyday human world. They all fit together. So we use the term code because, again, there are patterns in it.
Yeah, by code you mean patterns.
Correct.
And
right.
Fundamental patterns, I think, is what you mean.
Correct.
The codes or patterns that guide that person's life.
Correct.
And like almost like genetics, that's why you go for code too,
right.
as well as for the code for a computer program. So you're going to the fundamental patterns in people, and you have a collection of what these fundamental patterns are.
We do, because we're over 30,000 people that we've run reports on right now. So there are some fundamental patterns. Not enough time quite today to talk about that, but yes. And so for us, sometimes merely maybe showing someone a year that maybe something happened in the past, which we would not know because we don't know the person's name, but we give the year out. That person all of a sudden, it opens up a window or something that they might have blocked, or they just laugh and they say that was the year blah, blah, blah happened. And so this all allows, again, it's just, our theory is they're like minds, different paths, one destination. So our goal is that...
Wait, because I think that's really important.
Okay.
Like minds, different paths, same destination.
Yeah, one destination, right.
What do you mean by one destination versus same destination?
We believe in the good of all people. So we think that in the overall scheme of life, everyone would like to improve themselves in one way or another, to be able to understand sort of this invisible, visible world. And so that was the premise of Life Code. How do we give that to them?
To understand, okay, and this is what I'm trying to get to then. You're trying to help them connect with the invisible world.
I guess to a certain extent, yes, but also deal with the regular world that they're in,
and
every day.
Everyday world. So this very therapy-like, at least as far as we've gone on this, that therapists have some idea about what's good for people, even though we're not supposed to say it. Sometimes we do what's better for people, and there are lots of different patterns, but they need to be altered a lot of times to be able to get to where the people want to go, and it takes some time when I'm doing it. But you've got something that looks like it's pretty efficient. The key thing for therapy and for you is they got to be open to it. They got to want to change.
They have to be open to it. But again, this has other implications too. So again, all of these coincidences, which you're tuned into now, and a lot of your listeners, I'm sure, are also. And in your book, you cover a wide range of sort of how these things happen and working on sort of on that terminology to express those coincidences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, but yet we could have the exact same person not see any of it.
Right. And
so ours is the 2x4 method. Why aren't you seeing it? And then that they can, again, use it or not use it, but it's meant just as a tool. That's why we use the term like different paths. Because people can try many different ways because they're not getting the answer they want, and we can't control that either.
We're coming to the end, and what you're talking about is trying to do what I'm doing, at least regarding synchronicity, is let them see what's there and what they're not noticing. You are listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X Zone Broadcast Network, and our guest today is Nora Ruebrook, Chief Equationist at Life Code.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back to CC with BB. Yes, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, is me, and our guest today is Nora Ruebrook, and she's Chief Equationist. I love that term, equationist. I'm not going to ask you about it because I think I have some idea, but I want to get into where we were going in our last segment about how do you help people become aware of the synchronicities happening in their lives?
There are some years where people perhaps are more open to it. And we would have the ability to point out what those years may be for an individual, if they wanted to know. So what are we, 2018? So for 2019, we may have an individual that we can see, maybe more open to it. We may not share that data that may be the year that they're more open to it, but we would suggest then that they read their report in 2019 and not 2018.
Anything else?
Well, there are so many dimensions to this. It's because it is AI, it basically can teach itself. It's moving forward and learning a lot. But from a coincidence, there are times that, I'm sure with your patients or people that you've met that share, why do I keep seeing this, or why does this happen to me? And again, we're just doing it from the mathematical component of it.
Okay, well, let's get to the kind of more real life version of this,
okay.
and particularly with you, that one of the things that you told me is that if there's a disjunction between your expectation of a meeting or a flight, like the meeting's delayed or the flight is delayed or an elevator runs slow, traffic occurs, something, that you seem to recognize that in that interstices, in that space between what was supposed to happen and what has actually happened, you're more likely to have some interesting coincidence take place. And one of the things that you mentioned is that during some of those times, you will meet somebody that you did not know who will tell you something that they have not told another person, and then in the next few days you will meet another person who needs that information. Something like that happened to me yesterday, but the information was more generally known. That's pretty intriguing, and I think one of the things that maybe I get from what we're talking about, what I've seen from you, is that you are alert to those times in your day when you're more likely to experience a synchronicity.
That is correct. Yes. So I don't get frustrated, as you kind of were pointing out, if there are delays or changes or anything like that in a schedule. I can't even say anticipate. It's just that I already know that someone's crossing my path that needs to share a story, tale, whatever it may be, and however it may be.
Well, I found that the other part of that was that you would get a piece of information from one person, and then somebody else would run across you and need that information.
Correct. So it's actually more, as I'm getting older, it's becoming much more of a conduit. I'm not sure why or how those changes are occurring, beyond my scope of understanding, but they do happen very often. I'm sitting next to someone on somewhere. I go on to another meeting the following day, and this person begins a story. And these are individuals that I've not met before. And the information that I have is, of course, played forward, basically. And that's how it goes.
I get a kick out of that when it happens to me. It's not maybe because as dramatic, perhaps, but it's just, so I heard that, and then I can say that, or this person told me this, and the next day I use that information for somebody else. I say, how did this happen? It's kind of, but you're used to that, and that's what I think our listeners can tune into here and take away from us, is that you'll hear one thing and then you'll tell somebody what you just heard who needs to know it. And it just demonstrates, if you want to look at it that way, and I do, and you do too, the interconnectedness we have, the patterns that underlie what seems to be our individual lives.
I agree. And you're doing Herculean work there, trying to combine that and, again, give it terminology for our society.
Yeah.
So that people can have a discussion, because if they can have a discussion or conversation, then everybody can sort of get in sync and move forward.
Yep.
Pun on the word there, synchronicity. So,
good.
Yes, but that is very common in my life, and only, again, at this particular point in my life am I beginning to understand that other people have not had that opportunity or been tuned into that. I walk around thinking everybody
was
that.
Like that. Yeah, right.
And now I understand why people want to follow me, or why people hear part of a conversation and they are like, I want to be you when I grow up speech, which I always thought was strange. But now I'm beginning to myself become aware of it. That they don't have that.
Yeah, I've talked to many people who've had the same thing, and everybody's not like this, and somehow they get to be the way that they are. I've had to develop it. I questioned the things that happened that seemed so weird, and wondered why is this going on. And just collected the stories about myself just to have some data by my own experience, and then started branching out from that and seeing that a lot of people have these experiences, but a lot of people don't notice when coincidences happen. And you were doing that for a long time, and that's part of where you were different. Now, you and I met, and thank you for about my Herculean efforts. I have to do it. I think you understand what being compelled to do stuff like this. When I start writing it and trying to figure it out, it's just something overtakes me, and the time goes by, and the pleasure in putting stuff together is theirs. But it is work.
I do want to share real quick what you had in your book, reference to the library angels and the internet angels, using that term. Yeah. I will use that going forward. But again, perfect example. I think everybody has that. I just can go to the library my whole life and just kind of think of whatever that question is or whatever, and it would appear. And you reference those type of stories in your book. And I've not ever told anyone that. I just, again, assume it's a normal way of life.
Good. Thanks for that, because I am a taxonomist at heart.
Okay. Keep on going. I'm happy to incorporate the vocabulary, because, as you can see, I struggle in that domain.
Well, good, and I'll bring the library angel back and the internet angel. I get too scientific sometimes and forget it's fun to have these more symbolic-y words. Now, you and I met talking about trees and biofields. What was that? What happened with us?
We were at the Conference Society for Scientific Exploration, and there was a presentation given regarding biofields, and the information had been posted on a poster. I was looking at it, you'd come over, and we ended up in a discussion over, I believe, line item 4 on the poster on biofields. And then from there, we branched off briefly, uninterrupted, which is usually what happens, the flow, when you're in the right space and you're going to have coincidence or synchronicity. It's been my experience that flow that occurs, you were uninterrupted during that experience.
Yeah.
It's as if there's a bubble around you.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about trees, and you shared that you'd had a tree that had fallen. And, I was saying that trees, Bernie Krause had done a lot of recordings on the sound of trees. And then the physicist whose work we were looking at re-entered shortly after the conversation.
Yeah. Yep. And part of our conversation was communicating with trees. And
correct.
You describe how best to communicate with trees.
I think if you have any listeners that are interested but not have had this experience, I think one of the best ways to do this is simply if you're drawn to a tree. Usually it would be an older tree, whether an oak or a pine tends to be the case. Banyans sometimes, but if you take off your shoes, socks, and are barefoot, and you can stand under the tree without forcing yourself to do it, where the mind is taking control and you're actually just barefoot underneath it, the odds are you could do it for a minute or two. When you reach the point of being able to do it for 20 or 30 minutes, free will, again, not the mind forcing your feet to be there, you'll actually feel the earth and the resonance of the sound of the earth. And then from there, you're becoming more tuned in. It's changing your frequency, basically.
Well, tell us about some of your communications with trees.
Well, I think just when you walk around, you can kind of feel which trees, or, and this will also say plants too, that have more energy fields around it. And for different people, they're drawn to different things. So I've always had trees, and I had not thought of that until you and I actually had spoken, which was that all my life that there have been really old trees around me. And I'm not comfortable when they're not trees within a reasonable amount of distance.
You're not comfortable? I don't understand.
Meaning, like, I want to be somewhere where I can see them. It's the same applies for water. So trees, waters, I like to see those throughout the day.
You like to see them?
To see them, right.
How about communicating with them?
Communicating, you mean like the telepathic level of understanding the messages?
Yeah.
I can certainly feel that, but I'm empathetic by nature, always have been. So you can sense when a tree or something else in nature or a person needs or wants something.
Let's stop with that, because I want to continue that in our next segment. Needs or wants something. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X Zone Broadcast Network. And our guest today is Nora Ruebrook, Chief Equationist at Life's Code.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Well, welcome back to CC with BB, Connecting with Coincidence, with your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, and that is me, and we're talking with Nora Ruebrook, and we got a few laughs out of her in between the sessions. Nora, let's laugh. It's still going on. The communicating with trees. And listening to them kind of telepathically is the best way to describe it. I have these two trees that I call the king and queen trees in the forest where I like to go walking most weekends. And they I think, at least as my fable goes, they stopped me and wanted to talk with me. There was like this energy pattern across the path and made me stop and look at them. And they're elegant trees, and they're right near some water, and one's the female and one's a male, the way I see them, and I still see them that way. She's beautiful and got her own elegance, and he's strong and tough and barky. I've been communicating that for a while, but a while ago, they said, it's time for you to get out with the other trees more. And so I was coming down a pathway the other day, and I kind of felt like I was being veered off the path, and then this tree seemed to be beckoning to me, and then I kind of just let it happen. And then I took a little right turn, and there was a little there was like a seat made out of fallen trees for me to sit down, and there's kind of like an invitation to sit down there.
Wonderful.
And I said, okay, so that's what I did. And I had a great time looking at my hands. They wanted me to appreciate my hands.
Oh.
And then I did this childhood thing with the thumb and the fingers that we're not on TV, so I can't show you. And it was a really fun experience with these other trees. Let's just give you some idea about what I do out there.
But that's good, because you're also giving yourself time to do that in a hectic, busy world.
Definitely.
So,
yes. Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that story. Yes. And so who knows, we're sitting now on that area, what that next level where it will take you or bring you to as you get peace and quiet in that area. On a note, just for your listeners to kind of be aware of and sharing with you, you have an agency that does research within the federal government, the DARPA branch, and that particular branch of government has a request for proposals pertaining to both plants and trees to act as sensors, because plants already are being used in sensors at certain airports around the world. But they're also encompassing and allowing trees to be part of the program or ideas that they're open to. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
What DARPA stands for what?
It's the Defense Research Arm of the federal government. So DARPA.gov probably.
Sometimes that government is out there with all that weird stuff, looking at things that the general public would say is wrong.
Well, it's something to be aware of, because there's actually then an acknowledgement that there is something there, so that they're making space at the table for that conversation at least to take place.
It seems to me that's kind of like using trees like dogs sniffing for drugs in airports.
I don't know what the end purpose is. That's not my lane, but I'm just sharing that at least there's a conversation beginning.
There's an awareness of the potential consciousness, or at least
Correct.
Responsiveness of trees and plants. Well, that is pretty amazing, and that is very worth knowing. So thanks for telling us that. You and I also have talked about biofields. I think, and Harry, the physicist we were talking with between us. What do you understand about biofields, and how does that concept inform your work?
I think a biofield is, just for your audience to feel more comfortable maybe with it, is that energy field, sort of like a chi would be. If you rub your two hands together and then pull your hands apart, you can feel heat in between the two of them, even though they're not touching each other. So basically every living thing, as far as we're aware of, gives off that type of biofield. In some fields, it's called a signature. And that signature is what Harry and his partner Beverly have been working on. How do you record that? Some people can feel it from a distance. Some people can feel it, they have to be right on top of it. And still some people don't feel anything.
And the cool thing about their look at the biofield is that it isn't impeded by the usual like lead impediments for regular electromagnetic and other forms of energy. It seems to go through the usual blockers.
Correct. And entering into their, research, and again, I only met them about the same time that you did, is basically that the intent of the person trying to communicate. So if there's malice in trying to communicate, or is there good in trying to communicate, the response seems to be different. We respond differently as humans. It's responding differently across the board. So how you approach someone, that intention is now starting to get recognized as a factor. Intention
influences, let me say, the quality and intensity of the biofield.
Correct. And the same would most likely be in the end game for coincidences and synchronicity.
Explain that, please.
So if your intent is really for, say, perhaps just knowledge so that you could improve yourself, or is it to gain knowledge to cause harm to another, the response would be different because your intent on gathering that information is different.
Well, there's a lot of intention going on, particularly in the United States, that is pretty negative right now. How does that fit in with what you're talking about?
That likely is part of a evolutionary phase, as people will become exhausted doing or with a heavy, dense, I try not to use the word negative, so a dense energy form. People are looking for happier conversations. You want to be around people that make you feel better so that you do better.
Yeah.
And so by nature, the dense energy ends up collapsing, just nature of the beast.
It seems that hate feeds on itself, and it's a dense, heavy energy, yet it can grow.
It can, but how can it sustain itself?
By recruiting younger people to put more negative or heavy energy into it.
And I believe, it's my personal belief, okay, that at some time people just get exhausted doing that.
Individuals do. As groups, I'm not so sure, because you can still try to foster the feed, just as many of us are trying to be able to educate younger people to think about the world around them in the symbolic way, in the high energy way, in the kind of collective way that we're all patterned with each other to do something better. I think there is this training of people to hate, also younger people to hate. And they have the energy to continue doing it. So this is not I don't think we're going to get any place with this one, but I think it's important that those of us who see the potential of a better way of thinking continue to have the intention of trying to make it better and hope that helps reduce or do something to the negative energy, the heavy energy that's being generated.
Absolutely. And I believe that there were some studies done at one point, probably maybe late 70s, early 80s, where that was already shown to be the case. So the more positive the thought patterns out there of people, individual or a group, can negate some of that dense energy.
Well, we're going to keep hoping for that. Coming back to, we're talking about groups now, not necessarily individuals, but you not only work with individuals, but you work with groups, and you are able to define life codes, patterns, basic patterns in groups too. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Go ahead.
So basically, the way we have to recognize that what we're working on is really alive in its own way. It shows us things as well as we're trying to ask it questions, so to speak. But basically, that for a group, again, not knowing any individuals' names, we can collect the data and combine the data, match it all up, and produce basically a report that would allow, again, we call it a signature report, that basically would allow, let's say, a group to figure out where their strengths are, because we can tell where the weaknesses are, but our goal is to always focus in on the strengths of the individuals.
Good.
And so in doing that, it would move them forward instead of, some people always picking on something that was a long time ago. Let's move everyone in one direction forward positively. So we're able to do that again using math to show
how they can
do it. We take those mathematical equations, convert them into words, okay, and then we can present the data that way.
And the data end up being somewhat involving, I'm imagining, a vision of the future of this group.
If they would choose that, yes.
Go ahead. We're coming to the end of this, and I think thinking about groups and patterns is a great thing to be doing. I want to know more about it. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our guest today is Nora Ruebrook.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back to CC with BB. We're talking with Nora Ruebrook, and we're going to be talking about her life with synchronicity. And it's the way she describes it, the way you describe it, Nora, is they happen all the time that you don't even think about them. You just kind of use them. But let's start with how you use them. I mean, you expect them to happen. We talked earlier about putting information together, or people tell you stories that are important for them to be able to express to you. What are the various ways you use synchronicities in your life?
Well, I think one is basically to support people in whatever maybe their correct path or whatever their childhood path was, and maybe they went off. So that's one of the ways that my type of synchronicity assists people. The other is it certainly helps in the business community when people present ideas or partnerships that they might want. Basically, synchronicity will already allow me to give the correct answer without having to waste a lot of resources, perhaps knowing that it won't work in the end, and jumping in when I know it will work.
There's a guy in Southeast Asia that was on my program who got a PhD in something like synchronicity and leadership. Okay. So I say that to you because I bet you didn't know that. And also, Leon Jaworski's son, Joseph Jaworski, used synchronicity early in his life when there was a big tornado that hit Waco, Texas, and he was in school there and has been using synchronicity in leadership ever since. So that particular idea is really intriguing to me, to be able to use coincidences to help with leadership decisions.
Well, that's good information that I had not known. So, see, synchronicity again at play. Good information that I will go ahead and follow up on. And I also think that resiliency plays a role in synchronicity, as meaning how do you sort of bounce back if something dense or heavy hits you in life? How do you cope with it? Basically, if you are a resilient person, the odds are you're also more in tune with coincident synchronicity, I've discovered over the years. And also people that are more inclined to be able to laugh, and that includes laugh at themselves and enjoy life, tend to also have more of these occurrences happening. They're more open to it.
They're more capable of it, I'd say, too. The common link in those who are more resilient and those who can laugh at life is that they can activate their observer self, that they can step back and look at what's going on with them, and then add a particular thing that has a lot to do with what we call luck, is that then look around while you need something for something to happen. Expect that it's going to be there. Don't just like put your head down and not look. Look. So luck is partly in the mind of the beholder. If you don't expect something good to happen for you, something that can help you, you're not going to see it.
This is true. Right. And I'm not sure why some people, again, how we got into the life code side of the fence was how come some people see it and some people don't? And it kind of goes back to that world.
Yeah, and one of the things to see that you've mentioned and what you wrote to me is the invisible world. How do you connect between the visible and the invisible world? And synchronicities offer such connections. What do you ask? What is the language of that communication between the visible and invisible world? What are you talking about there?
For where I am right now, I would say that for an intuitive or empathic, etc., in that category, there or people that naturally have that gift from the time they're born, so they don't know anything else, the ability to create it in a mathematical format, and again, from there, converting it to the words for people to understand and read at their own time and pace is key. The people that have it in a native language basically don't want an explanation, meaning that they understand it. They understand that it's beyond their comprehension of how it works and why sometimes it works so quickly and nonstop. Where once you begin to question it, it does slow down the process, and we all go through those phases. And our ability to sit down, to talk to those people, create it using the technology that we have today is revolutionary, basically.
And with what are they communicating?
They just provide the data, and basically they're not talking to a machine. We would be addressing a machine to provide the data that would give a written report out for them to be able to understand.
I'm still trying to understand what you mean by the unseen world.
Unseen. So your world of synchronicity or coincidence right now, it happens, right? And some people, the majority of people are afraid of it. They actually recoil from it rather than walk into it. And if they would walk into it, it happens all the time. It'll increase for them. Does that help in that explanation?
You're talking about what you need to be able to do to pay attention to coincidences. You can't recoil from them. I think my experience with people is more of them just don't notice them rather than recoil. And maybe that's a form of recoiling.
I think so, because I could be standing and introducing person A to person B. Both have something in common, okay? And I introduce them, and in my mind, that's all I needed to do. I walk away and go on with something else. And I come back, and the two of them never got to the point that they should have been at, where they had something in common. They had a solution for each other's, let's say, business issue. And then when I say, I stand there and I ensure that it happens, and then they go on and are very productive individuals. But if I'd walked away, for some reason, that was not yet occurring.
Somehow you're the link.
Right. That's what people say. I'm a link or a conduit. However, the question is, why could they not have done that? They were standing there talking, exchanging business cards, and yet not open to hearing or seeing it.
Are you saying then the invisible world is simply what they didn't get to, and that you helped them get to what they should have gotten to?
I guess that is one way to look at it. I hadn't thought of it that way, but that.
Because when I think of invisible world, I think more abstractly than that. There's that coincidences tell us about patterns going on around us in the psychosphere, as I call it, our mental atmosphere. And I'm trying to develop a cartography of this mental atmosphere by tracking the kinds of coincidences people have and seeing how the interconnections might take place.
It is, like, as I shared, a Herculean effort to do it. But again, if a person had a coincidence and then they saw it and they recognized it, okay, and if something else happens, do they continue, quote, following those coincidences, or do they allow the mind to merely block it out?
I see that's where you are about invisible world, because terminology is very important.
And I look forward to your next book that has more words in it so that I can incorporate them.
If you want to see some of it, for like a precursor, my Psychology Today blog has a bunch of it, and there's at least one of them on leadership with Joseph Jaworski. Just an easy way to get into it and listen to the interview that we had on this show. And I attempt in another one to beginning development of a taxonomy of coincidences, which includes what's the basic structure of a coincidence, what are the common themes in synchronicities, what are the common uses, and what are the common explanations. And one of the things that is so hard for people to get so far, I hope to change it, is that not all coincidences are created the same, that there are different explanations for different kinds of coincidence. And I want to be able to bring that clarity rather than it's a yes or no, it's God did it or it's random. There is mystery and there is random, but there's also a lot that we have to do with in creating them. And so that's the taxonomy of those four things, and a lot of stuff in between. But the end of it for me is trying to understand our mental atmosphere. And when I'm asking you about invisible world, that's what I have in mind that synchronicities tune us into.
This is true, but when you're talking about the mind, if you are away, let's just say from electronic equipment, okay, and you don't even have to be outside, but you're predominantly away from electronic equipment and your ability to remain silent, so to speak, you tend to be, again, more aware of it because you're not being distracted.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
Yeah. So even the definition of mind, right, for someone, quiet means they just have the television on. To another person means complete silence. So even within that, there need to be some subcategories.
Yes, and then there's the other variations about different ways of altering mind, which include quiet and meditation, which is, you're also indicating, going into the forest does it for me. Dancing does it for me and many other people. There are a variety of drumming things and psychedelics that also broaden people's capacity to get to this invisible world that I'm trying to be able to understand and make a map of.
Right. I think one of the other
We've just almost to the end, so please.
Okay, no, real quick is basically, if we think of the world more like a kaleidoscope, and if you just move it just a fraction, you can see more.
Good. You've been listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Bernie Beitman, MD, and our guest has been Nora Ruebrook.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.